All right, so pastry cream. Pastry cream is going to be one of those wonderful basics that every pastry chef should know how to make and know how to make very, very well. At its basic, it's vanilla pudding. It truly is just a hot method vanilla pudding. And my grandmother was making it for years, and she never called it Pastry Cream or pastry cream. She just called it pudding. So, but in this case, we're going to take our milk, and sometimes you can add cream in there too for some fattiness, but it's not necessary. Milk's just fine. And we're going to take half of our sugar, and we're going to bring that to a boil. Now, in another bowl, we've got our cornstarch, we've got our sugar, we have our yolk, and we have our whole egg, and a little bit of vanilla extract in there as well. Okay. And we're going to whisk these items together in the bowl, kind of making basically a slurry. Whisk that together. We have our milk and our sugar on the stovetop. And the idea is we're dissolving the other half of the sugar inside of the milk. And then our last ingredient is going to be our butter. But we're not going to put that in just quite yet. We're going to reserve that butter for the end part. Check our sugar here and our milk. Now, pastry cream can be flavored different ways. You can put, you can infuse flavors into the milk. You can put extracts in. You can put chocolate in. You can replace part of the actual butter itself with milk chocolate, white chocolate, or dark chocolate. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with that. And it's very basic though. The big thing with it is not scorching the pudding, and then of course realizing its shelf life. Now, in most European bakeries across the pond, the traditional shelf life for pastry cream is 1 day. They make it every day fresh. They're probably also going through quite a bit. So for them to make it every day and to get good at it, this also helps the apprentices make the pastry cream every day, so they learn how to properly mix and temper and everything, and it works out great. I say you get about 3 days worth of actual shelf life before the quality starts to go, and you'll notice that there's a separation of liquid. And then of course our local DHEC says we have 7 days on anything. I implore you to not go 7 days, even though it's legal and legit. Do not go 7 days on your pastry cream. It will not taste as good. The freshness will be gone, and it'll start to separate. It will not be tasty. So just go for the 3 days max. Or if you're going through enough of it, make it fresh every day. All right, so we've got this. It's come to a boil. Now we're going to temper. The idea of tempering something hot into something cold, a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of drizzle, just until we brought the temperature of the eggs up so this way they don't curdle and cook. So now we've got that in. I'm going to turn my stove off for a second. And I'm going to take my liquid and I'm going to put it back into the pot itself. Now at this point, I'm going to bring our videographer in pretty close, because what's going to happen in this pot over the next couple of minutes is important for you to kind of witness. So you notice that we've moved to the red handle spatula. We've increased our temp. Now I ask you that you do this item before you do anglaise. You want to try to make pastry cream before you make anglaise. It's very, very important, because pastry cream, you can take it too far, meaning it actually gets super thick, and it's no big deal because it's actually needing to be thick. But if you do that with anglaise your first time, it's going to make for a difficult time. So make sure that you're doing pastry cream first before you try to do anglaise. So you'll notice in the bottom of the bowl, or the pot here on the stove, things are starting to thicken on the bottom, so which means you have to move pretty quickly. If you've got a phone call coming in, don't take it. Just stay right here with this, because from here on out, you're going to be busy, okay? And you want to make sure that the flat handle part of this scraper is actually going all over the place, and you're getting everything off the bottom of the pot. And I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit because I need to bring this to a boil to cook out the starch, okay? It's very, very important. There we go. So now we're there. Now I'm just backing my heat down a little bit, but I need to keep cooking this because I need to cook that starch out just a little bit. We don't want that starchy flavor in our anglaise, in our pastry cream. We want it to be nice and smooth and creamy. We don't want any burn spots, which is why you see me quickly moving the spatula around. I'm probably at about medium heat here, and I can see the bubbles forming, and that means that I am done. At this point, I can turn off the heat, bring it off the stove. Okay. I'm gonna remove the spatula for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and throw in my butter. And at this point, if I wanted another extract, I could do so. I'm gonna whisk in this butter quickly, and as I whisk that butter in, it's going to emulsify. It's gonna give it some nice flavor. It's gonna give it some nice texture, and you will see it shine. It looks super smooth. And there you go. That is our pastry cream. Now we have to talk about how we're gonna store it. So, to store this pastry cream properly, I have a 1/4 sheet pan here, and I've lined it with saran wrap, and then over to the side, I'm gonna take my pastry cream, and I'm gonna pour it right onto that saran wrap. You do not want to put it in a tall container to store it while it's hot. It's not going to cool off quick enough and properly if you do that. You want to actually store it flat so that it'll chill. You'll also notice, show off a little bit with the pot, nice and clean, no burns, no scorches, no nothing. Everything's nice to go there. Okay? So, I'm going to take this and go right over the top. Make sure it's actually touching the pastry cream itself. Very, very important that you label and date L and D pastry cream. Okay? You're gonna put this in the fridge, and then once it's nice and cool, then you can put it into a quart container or a pint container, or actually even use it to make this wonderful eclairs or a fruit tart or anything that you desire.